Shall I admit people yet?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. There we go.
Would you please just make unmute on YouTube?
Now I see a started thing, an image
Oh, cool.
of us on YouTube. Cool. Yeah, so let me look through my slides again.
Still 5 minutes left to start.
Okay. Shall I do a quick test?
Sure, please do.
Excellent.
Great.
Seems to reset when I go away from that. So maybe I should join my phone Wi-Fi.
I can't see to admit the people. If you stop the sharing for now, we could find out if people. Thank you.
So I've got my what do you call it? Wi-Fi. I mean my phone internet going on. Maybe I'll have it as backup.
Great. Normally Wi-Fi better, but depends on the area.
Yeah, hopefully it will be okay. And somebody. 8 participants. Cool.
Vince, do you have permission to admit the people? Am I right?
To add more people?
Yeah.
I think so. We can invite people on the participants. Yeah.
Cool.
Last minute.
Yeah, give 1 more minute. Normally people join in the last minute. Shall we start?
Sure.
Well, hi all, my name is Mehdi Torabi, and it's my pleasure on behalf of deeplearning.ai to welcome you here today in our online meetup. Thank you all for joining us here today. I'm very pleased to be able to welcome those of you who have been with us for the last events and now, as well as those who are new to the Deep Learning AI events, especially for Edinburgh Group. Thank you for joining. Before we get started in today's gathering, I would like to give a brief information on today's event timeline. After the interview, during the introduction, during the next hour, you will see about the review of AI in agriculture by Dr. Vince Hall from West Midlands, UK, city of Warwick. I hope the section will helpful and you all enjoy it. At the end of the meetup, we have time for you to questions and bring your idea on the table. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time now. I need to leave some time for a video from Professor Andrew Ng from Stanford University, who is founder of DeepLearning.ai, to give a brief introduction of Deep Learning AI to you.
Hello, deep learners. I'm Andrew Ng, founder of DeepLearning.ai, and I'm excited to welcome you to our global deep learning community. I know that many of you are here today because you want to break into AI and build your career. I hope that being part of this community will help you to do so. To give you a proper welcome, I'd like to show you around the DeepLearning.ai offices and meet some of the teams so that you can see where it all happens.
Oh, hi, Andrew.
Do you want to tell our friends at Pine AI what you do at DeepLearning.ai?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I make articles and other media that help people learn about AI and help them understand the huge impact that AI is having in the world. Today, I'm putting together the next issue of The Batch, our weekly newsletter, and I'm looking for the biggest stories of the week to keep our readers informed.
What's been the most surprising thing you've run into working on The Batch?
How much is going on in this field? There's never a dull moment. You might think from the outside that machine learning engineers really understand everything about AI, but nobody understands everything about AI because this field is just coming to life right before my eyes as I put this thing together every week.
All right, I know you're really busy, so I'll let you get back to it.
Thanks. See you later.
Let's go meet Kian, who helped me create the deep learning specialization. He's working on an exciting new project. Hey Kian, so do you want to tell the people at Pine AI what you're working on?
Yes, sure. I'm leading a project called Workera, focusing on helping people get offers in AI and navigating their career by testing their skills, preparing for interviews and certifying them, as well as matching and referring them to good jobs in AI.
That's really cool. And what's the most exciting part of your day?
You know, the AI field is new, organizations and jobs are still misunderstood. So I'm excited to help people understand what different types of jobs exist in the field, what tasks they will work on, and what skills are needed to achieve those tasks.
And that's really important work. Well, it's nice chatting. And now let's go chat to Hotel, who is on their product team.
Hey, Andrew.
Do you want to say hi to our friends at Pine AI and let them know what you're working on?
I would love to. Hi, everyone. I lead the product team in DeepLearning.ai, where we create AI education content accessible to people all around the world. People like you.
And what are you most excited about right now?
I am so excited to see our community grow and to see how eager people are to learn more about AI.
Thanks, also.
Thanks, Andrew.
So, as you can see, our team is working hard to support you and help you learn. It's never been easier than before to break into AI. So if you want to build a career, you can leverage online resources available, including open source code, datasets, papers, and online courses like a deep learning specialization on Coursera. As part of this journey, I hope you get your hands dirty too. Don't be afraid of diving in to build your own project, or go ahead and try to replicate a research paper that you're excited about. One thing that I've seen help a lot of people succeed is if you can build a community or find a community of fellow deep learners you can meet with and study with on a regular basis. In fact, I hope that this Pine AI meetup that you're at right now will be a good place for you to meet these people. I hope you enjoyed the event today and that you learn a lot both from the talks and from each other. And once again, welcome to the deeplearning.ai community.
Well, so thank you for Andrew for his greeting video, and very warm welcome again to each of you and every one of you which are here. Now it's time to the main talk by Vince. If you have any questions, suggestions, or just want to bring a point on the table, you can use chat box on the right side of your Zoom application during the meeting. Also, I will share my LinkedIn page. If you have any questions later regarding to the meeting, or if you would like to give a talk about the machine learning, deep learning, or any subject related to AI on our next events of deeplearning.ai, please simply drop me a message. After the event, we will provide some promotional code for attendees who complete the post-event survey, which sent by deeplearning.ai. With this promo code, actually, you can have 50% of the first month subscription for any deeplearning.ai course in Coursera. Thank you very much. And I'm going to pass to Vince. Please start your main talk.
Oh, hi. So I'm Vince Hall. I'll start my presentation. Let me make sure I share sound. Okay. So I should be talking to you today about robotics in agriculture. Over there. Yeah, so I'm Vince Hall, so working with Maddie in Build Intellect Limited. I'm the CEO. I'll introduce us a bit more in a bit. So, right, Build Intellect, Leamington Spa, Warwickshire, which is right near West Midlands. We're a data science consultancy and remote working the whole time. So we solve business problems in data science, machine learning, data visualization, computer vision, digital signal processing. And so we also offer some career coaching for data scientists, analysts, engineers, machine learning experts. And that includes like LinkedIn profile optimization, CV, resume writing, networking to get referrals and jobs, and job interview advice and practice. So if you want to learn more about either of those or both of those, then head to buildintellect.co.uk or contact Maddie or myself. And I should share more details about us. So here's me, here's Maddie, as you can see. He's the host, and I'm at Build Intellect. Here's my link to LinkedIn, and there's Maddie's link on LinkedIn. And he is technical director of Build Intellect and senior algorithm engineer at Space Labs in Edinburgh. Yeah. And deep learning Pi and AI host. So let me admit someone else. Robotics in agriculture. Like what is happening there, and what's the whole point of this? So I read a report by marketsandmarkets.com, and they reported that the global market for robots in farming was about $4.6 million, about £3.25 billion last year, and should grow to about £14.5 billion by 2025. So that's a 34.5% growth rate, which is pretty fast. That's pretty cool, right? Especially if you're an investor. So why is this happening? There are a few different reasons that I'll go into. So there's a growing demand for food. There's temporary workers. So it's always difficult for farmers to find suddenly a whole load of people to work on their farms for a short period of time, and then their temporary workers up. And also robots, being not humans or animals, can be very precise and increase yields and make other good contributions. So there are loads of startups all around the world in this, literally in the field. So going into the first thing, like demand for food, the population in 2005 was about 6.5 billion, and that's projected by the Food and Agriculture Organization to increase to a little over 9 billion by 2050, but only a smallish increase, but that should actually result in about twice the food demand. Twice the food demand. So that's 100% increase in demand for food, need to produce that food in 45 years. So in many countries, the population is growing, so all different speeds. Some are shrinking, some are growing really fast, but also they're getting richer. So they are demanding higher quality food and more food, and food that requires more resources like meat and nuts. So there's a lot that needs to happen there, and all while climate change is a threat. And maybe I'm fair in saying farming contributes to that, and habitats. So there's another thing. Excuse me. Finding temporary workers for farms is a big thing. Usually around harvest season, the farmer has to find loads and loads of people to suddenly work on the farm for a short period of time, and then they don't need them anymore. So often these people come from other countries, and things like Brexit and COVID-19 lockdown have made this really hard, especially last year and this year. And usually you'd have Polish people going to French farms, Romanians coming to the UK, Mexicans going to the US, but lots of borders have been shut down. So this has been much more difficult. But fortunately, the UK government has helped to alleviate this a little bit by providing 30,000 temporary worker visas for farms. So that's a good thing, 6 months each. And one of the benefits of having machines and more autonomous machines in farms is that they increase yields, and they also send lots of data back to the humans and the software to analyze. So you can do data science with it, you can do prediction with it, you can check out the health of the plants and the animals and see which individuals are diseased, try to reduce that. You can target weeds very specifically and provide feed and fertilizer and weed killer very precisely, very exactly, and not wasting that much, wasting very minimal things. And onto who's doing all of this. There are lots and lots of startups. Here are a few of them. They're all over the world: Brazil, China, US, Australia, Israel. There's SKT Aeroshutter. They're from Ghana, and they make quadcopters or drones. Rabbit tractors, small robot swarms. Kubota and DJI are massive robotics and what do you call it? Drone companies. Muddy Machines, I like that name, it's pretty cool. Abundant Robotics from New Zealand. Asimo Multitech from India, nothing to do with Honda. And most of these at the bottom here I'll be going into as some of examples, what they're actually doing, some applications. So where this all started, as far as I know, is about the 1940s. And we've had tractors for a while, but this guy, Frank W. Andrew, decided that he wanted to make it drive itself. So he basically got a barrel in the middle of the field and lashed a rope to the barrel and the tractor. So then the tractor was guided across the field. But nowadays we have laser guided and radio ranging sensors, GPS. UGV is an unmanned ground vehicle. We've got obstacle avoidance, LiDAR, which is basically radar with light, and they manage their own speed and location. Tractors are great. They have many attachments that can do many different jobs, like pulling farm machinery, spraying crops, tillage. So that's like plowing, for example. But they can't do quite everything. Here's a nice example from John Deere. There are other things on the horizon and also in use right now. So people at Hands-Free Hectare, they made this combine harvester. They retrofitted it, an old one, and they were successful in that. And it autonomously goes and harvests the crops and then deposits it in a container and basically has the brain of a drone, and it's remotely operated. So they were successful with that. They started with 1 hectare, and now they've got 35 hectare farm. And if you stand in the middle of the field and the thing comes at you, it will avoid you, it won't hit you. So they've got lots of redundant sensors and methods to avoid any collisions. So hopefully you'll be perfectly safe there. So their farm is called Hands-Free Farm. Let's look at that in a little bit. First, here's a little example of their retrofitted combine harvester, the 10,000 pounds. Okay, so there's Hands-Free Hectare, and now it's Hands-Free Farm. Let me not start that again. There we go. So here's the farm, various different fields, 35 hectares, 80-something acres, and these are the various people working on that. So I have about 30 slides, just for those of you who are interested. So that's all outdoor farming. What about indoor farming? So we go on to Iron Ox. That's not the British company. That's a Californian company. And these guys, they say 30 acres, well, we can reduce the resources needed so we can produce that amount of food in 1 acre. And it's all pretty high quality stuff. And they got a lot of controls. For example, the environment is controlled, it's all indoors. So they are actually employing people. Last I looked, they're based in San Carlos, California, but they're looking for engineers, technicians, UI and UX people. And I should have a video here of them. Bit of an advert, but bear with us.
We started with the question, what if we could grow better produce for everyone? Because when it comes to locally grown food, quality shouldn't be a luxury, and quantity shouldn't be a compromise. At Iron Ox, we're using robotics and intelligence to grow better food for less, in a way that uses less. Less of what we can't get back, or can't afford to waste. Iron Ox grows a perfect head, year-round. We're increasing access to premium produce for everyone.
Splendid. Seems to be aquaponics, so they save a lot of water that way. Another indoor farming thing. This is a robot called Virgo by Root AI. They're also hiring. They're also an American company in Woburn, and this time they're looking at tomatoes, so picking fruit and or vegetables, however you want to call it, and precisely. The talk's not all videos, but there are some. If it will play. Sometimes it mixes. It's that one. So yeah, it didn't select any green ones, so I guess they selected it to pick orange ones as well. Quadrotors, drones. So this is another big thing, and DJI is a big Chinese company. They are kind of taking over the drone space if they've not taken it over completely already. Here is one that's used in agriculture. So it's the Agras MG-S. There's 1S. So they can spray farms with whatever they need to spray with, and it can adjust to the height of the field. So if the field's going uphill, the drone will make sure that it's always a certain height above the crops, and it will spray at the same speed at different flight speeds. A human might cover about 0.65 acres a day spraying, but this drone can do about 100 times that. So 65, 80 acres, or about 26 to 32 hectares. And it can be managed remotely by humans using the agricultural management platform. And you can set routes and boundaries for where the drone goes. You can do that manually. You can walk across the field, or you can do it from home or wherever your remote hub is, your digital hub. And it can carry up to 16 kilograms. Get a better view of it. There's a top-down view. It costs about £1,000, it seems. So usually the 16 kilograms is stuff that spray, like weed killer. So here's a side view, and you can see some little black squares there. There are two sensors on one side and another sensor on the other side to make sure that it's always the same height, the required height. So that's all about about like what sort of things the machines are doing, but I'll talk a little bit about how they're doing it. So this is more of the machine learning, deep learning section. So here's a paper by Wiley, by Joe et al, and they generally reviewing in the food industry how you can use computer vision, convolutional neural networks, and other devices, other architectures to check various things about the food. So food recognition, there's some toast, there's some eggs, calorie estimation, quality detection of fruits and vegetables, and meat. Got some more people coming in. Meat and vegetables, aquatic products, food contamination, and also tell you about the food supply chain. So if I remember correctly, when you work with CNN, you pass in an image and then it does a convolution. So that's a math. It basically applies a kernel. The word means different things to different people, but applies like a matrix of numbers over this bigger matrix. So you start off with the big matrix that is the picture, and you apply a little matrix over it lots of times. And I believe, so convolution pooling, like max pooling or average pooling, where you take a small area again and you just take the maximum number from there, or the average number from each section. And rectified linear usually, and then fully connected. So here they're extracting a feature map. This is more what a fully connected system looks like. And then you can have an output like some words. What is that? That's eggs present, some salad, there's tomatoes, etc. So this is used a lot. And with all these machines where they have to select the red tomatoes, you have to find the right color. So that's one thing they do. And another thing, like from Ironox, where the device needs to use its manipulators to go and pick up the little green plant, not some other part of the tray, the seed tray. And here is another example. This is published in IEEE. So we're looking at apple quality, and is it still ripe? Is it good? So they use the image processing, segmentation, polarized light cameras, and they want to see, before a human can detect on the surface that's kind of going off, it's starting to rot, these devices should be able to see. So they're using support vector regression and Gaussian process regression. They're looking at the angle of polarization and the degree of linear polarization. Let's look into that. So this is the AOP and the DOLP. And as it ages, so this is like 0 days up to 16 days, I think. And the red spots and the yellow increase in size. So we're sort of seeing it going from perfectly ripe to not so great. And they usually have an accuracy on average of about 93%. That's pretty cool. So it's Takruri et al. And this is what the correlations look like. So this is the DOLP as it ages from 0 days old to 16 days old.
Sorry, Wes. Correlation. You need to just screen rather than sharing the page. So the correlation is not visible.
Okay, should I stop sharing? That's strange.
Share again, please.
Desktop one. Yeah, that's strange. Can you not see now? Can you see the 8 images of?
Yeah, I have that one. So
can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine now.
Okay. So yeah, they just do a linear fit to this data, which seems like a pretty sensible thing to do. And the AOP, the angle of polarization, is also pretty similar. Linear fit reduces with time. It doesn't change a huge amount, these values here. But there you go. Another idea. So this is by Sonny and Sonny, 2 ladies in the BSCs, and they're doing this. They have some code available on GitHub, and they were saying, so current methods, and including some of the more automated methods for sorting. Okay, so these are not tomatoes, but we'll get into the tomatoes. Sorting fruit and vegetables, you can do it manually. You can have a human looking at all of it, but it's very labor intensive. It's slow, high error rate. So if you then add a conveyor belt and have people just quickly looking at the fruit on the conveyor belt, that's a bit better, certainly faster. But if you could use machine learning to do this instead, take some high quality photos of each bit of fruit, then you can massively reduce the labor cost, you can improve the process efficiency, and more predictable quality and better quality. So here are some examples of some tomatoes that are not looking too great. Let's see if the machine learning can identify exactly what's not great about it. So what they've done, they find the tomato and then they say, oh yeah, there's some defects over here and here. That's just one example, but if you want to learn more about it, then there's a link. And they have the code on GitHub as well. And I believe we would go into animals, because it's not just plants that that benefit from having the machines looking after them and gathering loads of data. It's also the animals. So there's this one called, there's not an animal, but a robot called Swagbot, originally developed to monitor livestock like cattle. And when it went near the cattle, it kind of got scared of it. But it also tows equipment and seeks and destroys weeds, monitors pasture. So are the crops growing well that the cattle and other animals can eat well, and monitors farm infrastructure. It's developed at University of Sydney, Australian Centre for Field Robotics. And the professor who works there in the Robotics and Intelligent Systems group is Professor Sokaria, is also the CEO of Ageris, which is a company that's now taking this further, spin-out company developing these robots more. They're also developing other robots, the robot perceptrons, to improve livestock health and welfare, monitoring their appearance and behavior, checking that they're all well. This is what Swagbot looks like, and there's a link, Ageris. Yeah. Then another set of robots that care for cows. So imagine that you're in a farm in the middle of Canada, and it's like just outside Winnipeg. It's minus 20 degrees, and maybe it's early in the morning. Farm workers probably don't really want to go out and feed the cattle and milk the cattle. But here the cattle are kept indoors and they're all looked after by robots. So Lely, I believe, is a Dutch company, and they have these various different robots to feed the cattle and collect the food, check if the cattle are getting correct nutrition, and even give them a brush to make them feel better, and milk them as well. So there's Vector, is a giant bucket with eyes and some machine learning, and it dispenses the food, and then you have a giant scoop that scoops up the feed and puts it into the giant bucket, Vector. I'll show a little video about this, but here we go. Here's Vector, quite a big thing, and the cows are happy when it comes around because they get food. There's the giant claw to grab the feed. And here's a little video about that.
This is Weldon Plett and his family. The Pletts have been milking cows here for 4 generations. In July of last year, Weldon did something radical. He replaced his old manual dairy farm equipment with a system that is completely automated.
How many cows are in here? We've got about 260 about in here now. Then you can see our Vector, the robotic feeder.
Oh, look at that guy.
He works on his own 24/7. His job is to keep the cows fed. When he goes along, he pushes up feed so the cows can reach it.
And so this could be happening at 3 in the morning?
Yeah. And the cows know when it comes.
Oh yeah, they get excited.
Yeah.
This feeding robot is called the Vector. It scans the barn every 45 minutes. If the feed level is low anywhere, the Vector will automatically go to what's called the feed kitchen. There, it gets restocked with a blend of grains, barley, and supplements by a giant claw.
That's the crane that loads all the ingredients, like all the forages. We bring blocks of corn silage, blocks of haylage, and barley silage. And as you can see, it tells it what to load. It picks up, and then it dumps it in here. There's a scale on here, so it knows exactly how much it's got and exactly how much it needs to put in here.
Okay. So that's the feed covered, and the giving them a nice brush, make them feel good. I can move on to the next thing. Okay. There's also a milking robot. So this one's called Astronaut A5. So in this arena, this area, the cows, they just go about their business. They feed, they walk around. And when they want to be milked, or each cow will just walk in on the right side of this image here. The astronaut will recognize which cow it is. We'll have learnt all about each cow and where her teats are and what food she likes. So a little tray will come out here and give her a favorite food. And it will clean and disinfect the teats, monitor health, and then it will milk the cow and let her go on her way. And there's no pushing the cows around or trying to get them to move. If you've ever tried that, they're extremely strong animals. It's difficult. And they also have a little toy if you want to give it to your kids or advertise it, I suppose. That's what the little feed tray looks like. So that's plants and soil and animals sorted, but robots can also be used for security, of course. So Sharp made in Telos, unmanned ground vehicle that can sort out security. So it's remotely operated, got a little camera up here, I believe, and yeah, so it can check that there are no animals or people who shouldn't be there, do patrols around the area. This can be used on farms, can be used in other places that are quite large where people can't be all the time. And it can even sort out your weed. So if you have a weed farm, which is big in some places like California, I believe it's a huge part of the farming industry in California now. You can make sure everything's safe with one of these guys. So what sort of abilities do these robots need? Different things depending on what their tasks are and whether they're working with animals or plants or indoors, outdoors. But generally they need machine vision, color vision, especially for selecting the right fruit and vegetables, obstacle detection so they don't slam into people and animals, and fences. And they generally communicate a lot and use GPS satellites, radio wave things, LiDAR, autonomous driving. So they're usually either legs or wheels, sometimes rotor blades flying around for the drones. And those, a lot of them have manipulators, so the hands that go and grab the fruit. And they have to have sort of hand-eye coordination to know which to grab and where to put it, all carefully controlled. They send their data back to the hubs, and so the humans and the software can monitor it and decide if the soil is good, is it producing lots of healthy crops, is the feed good, is everything safe, and where is the vehicle, is it in a good charge state, all sorts of things. So a lot is automated, and it's different for different vehicles, and yeah, so some of them are pretty much completely automated and some of them are only slightly automated. But generally, if they're working in the fields, they need to be waterproof, dustproof, maybe heat resistant. Some of them have solar panels so they can be powered by the sun, but also need to be cold resistant, able to cope with mud, like that company name, Muddy Machines. They're safe to use, of course, easy to control, not too expensive. So for example, the DJI copter was about £1,000, and the retrofitting of that hands-free hectare combine harvester was just £10,000. Not that much for vehicles, big vehicles. So of course they need robotics engineers, people who can build these things. So computer vision people, machine learning experts, people who program in Python and ROS, robot operating system, C++, people who know how to make robots to use the manipulators, the hands, fly and walk and all that sort of thing. Let me see. So here's a little summary. So in the beginning I said that the robots on farms is growing very quickly, and this is what it looks like. So last year, £3.28 billion, and 5 years later, I can see writing on the screen. 5 years later, £14.44 billion projected. So it's growing quickly, and there are lots of companies, and obviously they have to employ people. So managing soils, crops, animals, plants, security, and there are loads of startups in the field. These slides we're going to put on, I have put on GitHub. There's actually just a link there because it was too big to upload to GitHub, but it's on Google Drive, so that should be available for everyone. And here's some sources and references. And yeah, you want to go to questions? see people have been chatting.
Sure. Thank you so much. I can't see the chat page now. If you stop the sharing, please.
So sorry, do you want me to stop sharing?
That would be yeah, great.
Sure.
Now we could go to the questions. Yeah, I can see the questions. Thank you so much, Vince, for presentation. We have some questions here. So the first one actually they asked regarding to the safety of the machine learning or AI. That's actually a good question. Our previous section was about the safety on machine learning. I'm not sure how dangerous would be picking tomatoes. However, definitely it is important. However, the safety in AI and machine learning is really, really important, especially in medical sides or medical applications, and also in driving car or auto driving, these type of things. Obviously, it is also really important, would be important in agriculture applications. So in these sections, we didn't consider the safety of machine learning because that's a really big topic. I can share our slides for previous event, which was regarding to the safe machine learning with you guys, and if you like, you could see. And there's another question, Vince, regarding to using the deep learning area on navigation. Do you have any idea? I know that the navigation fields is the deep learning used for speed estimation on navigation. So if would you like to answer that one, Vince, or any questions?
How the speed is done?
No, actually they asked regarding to the application of the deep learning on navigation system, probably.
Deep learning navigation. So I guess I'm not really sure, but so usually with the technology from self-driving cars and vehicles that go off-road, they can identify where there's a human or there's a bicycle or a bus or a truck or a building, and know how to avoid it. There are lots of different ways to do this. So some of them, they look for obstacles and they say, don't go there. And some of them, they learn from human drivers, this is where we usually go. So let's try to stay in those areas. Look at road signs. Okay, but on the farms, there's also like LiDAR and cameras. So that was all about cameras, but there's also LiDAR, and you could just see how far you are from something. So you could just ping that and then see, oh, it's coming up really quickly. It was 5 meters away, now it's 3 meters away. Maybe I should slow down or turn. Yeah, and maybe they're not always sure about what it is, but try not to hit it. And yeah, even really simple projects that you can work on with little Arduinos or Python programming, little cars that go around your house, you can build quickly. They, like little tutorials, they avoid objects. They have obstacle detection. So with these complicated machines that weigh loads of tons, if they crash into you, they're really going to hurt you, or an animal, or rip up a fence, or smash into another vehicle. So they have lots of different systems, lots of redundant systems to make sure that nothing fails. And yeah, if some systems don't notice that there's an obstacle, then others are in the way to prevent crashing. But yeah, this is, at least in like autonomous vehicles, like driving on the roads, they don't always get it right, and sometimes they estimate danger differently from humans. Yeah, hope that answers that.
Yeah, thank you. And I could unmute people if anyone wants to bring up and start to talk. Just message me here or in messaging chat box. I could unmute and bring people to our conversation. Also, there's another question, Vince. It's asked, are these farming methods viable and sustainable at the large scales in terms of energy consumption? Can you do you have the chat box, Vince? Probably.
Yes, sure, yeah. Yeah, Charles, yeah. So basically, some of them, they are charged by the sun, which is great. So yeah, always electric, or I guess like if they're retrofitted, then they're not necessarily electric, but they will either be old machines that are already used, and so that energy is already taken account of. You always know how much is going to be used, but they also send a lot of data, so try to minimize all sorts of wastage, water and nutrients and space and fuel, electricity. So I guess it depends, but usually with more technology, it requires more energy. So hopefully people will try to make them as efficient as possible, because that is a big part of why people are using these, and also charge them with the sun or something that's sustainable. Yep.
Sure, I unmuted the Joy.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. And I had a previous project, like a personal project in my neighborhood. And kind of the vision was to use distributed yards, plots, kind of in a suburban urban setting to grow. And I built these kind of vertical water-based kind of gardens. And we were kind of putting them in neighbors' yards. And the thought was, and the background, I mean, data science, I do automation, I'm an ag engineer, safety engineer. And the thought was, like, in the future, what I would have loved to have done is to use automation on distributed plots in urban, suburban settings. So I could use pieces and parts of people's yards, take care of the gardens for them as one. So I'm an organization or a company that does that. They can get fresh fruits, vegetables, whatever, or we can have one collective farm across multiple yards. And a lot of the technology you're showing is beautiful because it's kind of the same, but it's the same paradigm as always, which is I have a large plot of land. I'm assuming no one's really in that land, and I could roll a huge tractor through it, and that's the end of it. Yeah, maybe I do smash up a fence. I'm wondering what you guys know, kind of in your field of work done for smaller, more distributed plots in terms of AI and automation.
Okay. So I know there are lawn mowing robots that have been around for a little while, and they will, as far as I know, they will not bash into things, and they will. So they got blades. They will not attack animals and people. And I believe you can set paths for them to go and boundaries. And there are also the vacuum cleaner ones. But yeah, that's a really cool application, and that would be great to think more about. And I don't actually come from a robotics background, but I'm just learning about this stuff and find it extremely interesting. So I've studied it a bit, and I think it's really cool. So yeah, so Joe, you'd have like one little gardener robot in each person's back garden, or that sort of thing, or like picking tomatoes and digging maybe, and that sort of thing. Is that right?
John's also muted. Let me.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you can't?
Sorry, I was being polite and muted myself. I didn't realize that was like a one-time deal. No, no, what we were wanting to do, and again, background engineer, is I wanted to have a system that can, go from yard to yard. So infrastructure-wise, it'd be a drone, or it'd be something else, or it'd be something that kind of like landscape. I don't know, how you guys are in the UK, but we have landscaping companies that kind of go from door to door in the suburbs, and they fix people's grass, and they kind of take care of people's. And being an ag engineer, always kind of it saddens me that people focus so much on lawns and not the fact that they could be growing fruits and vegetables in their yard. But at the same time, I realize that people aren't experts in fruits and vegetables. It takes work. And it'd be one of those things that you basically have a landscaping company, but the focus is on growing gardens in people's yards. And how much can we automate that for efficiency purposes? So I have my equipment with me, and I launch it upon someone's yard just to take care of it for the day or the week. And then I kind of take it back and I move it to someone's yard, and I do whatever I got to do, but on a smaller scale. And I just see a lot of, the amount of enthusiasm I had for the business I try to start related to growing gardens in parts and pieces of people's plots, small yards in the back was quite big. But obviously, from a business standpoint, it just wasn't going to work, right? So that's what I see as the opportunity. I'm going to unmute myself. I'll mute myself. So if you ask me any more questions, or I can stay unmuted, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to unmute actually everyone, so people could talk, hopefully. The point is good. For regarding to your point, actually, probably I believe that if you have a data, then that would be easy to apply lots of machine learnings or other techniques such as deep learning to the data. These days, having the different really new types of convolutional neural networks, or so easily able to detect the answer, and also by having the small amount of the data. So if you have it doesn't matter probably if you have a less data, obviously not one or two, but if you have some to able to train the algorithm, so probably you will see the results at the end of the algorithm. So even I believe the algorithms could able train by little amount of data. So that's also another point. Probably we could talk more about that.
Like a low shot or a one shot, where you see
at least some shots to have a training and validation parts, and then apply again other machine learning methods to teach the algorithms to do whatever we want to do, or select, or like something like this.
Cool. Yeah. So sorry, Charles was saying again about energy consumption. So we were looking at IronOx, and they were saying they can squeeze 30 acres down to 1 acre. They can produce the same amount of food. How does that work from an energy point of view when there's no sun because it's inside? Okay, I'm not really sure, but you can pipe in sunshine. Maybe they have solar panels on the roof. I don't actually know how they manage that, but I'm sure that it's easier from a pathogen point of view, so you don't have so many insects, and yeah, I guess viruses and bacteria will come in, but you don't have so many insects and birds and stuff coming in. So that makes it easier from a damage point of view, and from an efficiency of materials point of view. And they can also precisely control the environment with the nutrients. So it looks like it's aquaponics. So the water, the plants are standing in water, which actually uses much less water than if you have plants standing in soil, and then they can give very exact nutrients. So that probably helps a lot. And there's also aeroponics, where you just spray a mist of water and it uses much less water, like 75% less water than aquaponics or hydroponics. And so that's really efficient. So they haven't done that, but I think some other people have tried that. So I'm not sure from like literally light point of view how they solve that. The rooms look pretty light. Maybe they let in a lot of light. I'm not sure. Yeah, were there other questions?
I'm trying to unmute people, but I'm not able to find. If you're able to do that, Vince, please do it.
Ask all to unmute. More specifically?
Yes, please.
Urban farming is the best way to produce food. Really want to try that. Matteo. Yeah, urban farming. That seems like a really cool thing. And I guess you'll be able to do that if you can shrink 30 acres down to 1. So yeah, and people use different systems where like, so it comes from the Far East where you have like rice growing in water, and you also have fish growing and swimming around in the water. So they actually fertilize the water for the plants. And I think there are a few other things in there, but I can't remember. But it's really efficient, like a little human-made ecosystem going on there that really serves farming. And you could do that in a small space as well, to some degree. Urban farming would be really cool.
Sure. Someone asked regarding to the safe machine learning. Sure, I will share that one with you. So I need to find it out, and then just please message me on LinkedIn, or I'll write my email, or you can write your email here. I can share it with you later. So great.
So the sunlight harvester, cool. Channel News Asia. So yeah, if you would like to connect with Maddie or myself on LinkedIn, then should be available. Oh yeah, let me get my LinkedIn again.
And also the slides for this section will be available on GitHub. Vince is going to share that one. Could you please share that one, the link with us, Vince?
Okay, so here's the README, and that just has a short intro and then a link to Google Drive. And where is me? I'm in Botswana, south of the equator. I need help with preparing proposal with more emphasis on the use of digital adaptation. Okay. So digital adaptation. So Matteo, do you mean Matteo? Is that a funding proposal?
Let's unmute Matteo.
Digital adaptation. Is it like converting to? Okay.
I think you all unmute, so probably if you like, you can come up and talk.
I think I can unmute if I like. Reinforcement learning based methods to optimize the way plants are grown. I don't currently know those ways. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sure that some of these companies do. So reinforcement. So you'd like have an optimal plant, and you try to an optimal growth rate, and you'd try to get it to that, perhaps. I'm not sure. Yeah. So Matteo, can you talk?
I think everyone is on mute now.
I think I'm unmuted.
Hi.
Greetings. Let me try to move to the light. So you, actually, we are planning to have an urban farm which uses the aquaponics setup, you see. Now, I was hoping that I could get some assistance with including the robotics within the setup. That is what I actually need mostly, but as well as that proposal, but that one I have. I just need to know how I can source this robotics, this Arduino machines, and all of those so that I can incorporate them into my setup.
Okay, cool. So Arduino machines, I know you can, so at least in the UK, we can buy them online, so like Amazon. So yeah, like I mentioned, the Arduino machines are, and also the Python machines, what do you call them? Raspberry Pi. You can also get those online, and you can do little projects with them and have them running around your house, well, driving around your house, trying to avoid obstacles. That's cool stuff.
But I think, if I even had you to also help me with the proposal to present it to the Botswana Innovation Hub people, so that it would be so that I have some collaborators from somewhere else where they have had such a setup. You understand?
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yes,
Let's. I think I found you on LinkedIn, Matteo Terence.
Salwan, yes.
Director of Kagalagadi Jazz Beats.
Yes, that is my first company, but now I want to venture into this agribusiness.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll talk more with you on the LinkedIn.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Thank you.
We got Joe, the ag engineer. Got Joe's email address there. Cool.
Great. Any more questions? And you also unmute if you want to talk. Welcome. Also, I need to just mention that to use the promo code 50% off for the first month of deeplearning.ai courses on Corsa website. So you need to fill the post feedback link, which will send by deeplearning.ai. Then you could use that one, that offer. And also anyone would like to join to the deeplearning.ai to give a talk, just message me on here or LinkedIn or email me. Then we could manage for the next events. The talk would be for any subject on deep learning, machine learning, or any AI applications for any levels. If you have any more questions, so we could go, or for that, otherwise, anything more from you, Vince?
I guess nothing more from me. Just if you're interested, connect with me on LinkedIn or go to buildintellect.co.uk. Yeah, so that's very cool. Thanks for having me, Maddie, and thanks to Deep Learning AI. I like these talks. I'll come back to
No worries. Thank you so much for your talk, and thank you everyone to joining us today on deeplearning.ai event, and hopefully see you soon again in our next future events.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Try and leave.